Mr. Tony Grubel, Chargé d'Affaires, U.S. Embassy. Mr. Martin Karimli, the Director, ILO Pacific. Members of the Judiciary, Permanent Secretaries, members of the Diplomatic Corps, heads of UN organizations, civil society partners, Director, Human Rights, participants, ladies and gentlemen, a very good morning to you all. It's an exciting event to be part of on a morning like this, as we gather for the 2021 International Labour Organization meeting. At the outset, I wish to thank the ILO for the invitation to be here, and I congratulate you on the organizing of this forum, an important forum, and having heard the summary of what you hope to achieve, it's a great step in the right direction. The ILO Director General had said that there is no place for child labor in society. It robs children of their future and keeps families in poverty, and I completely agree. Child labor harms the child's social and mental development, reduces their ability to enjoy childhood, and limits educational opportunities. Without an education, children grow up without the skills they need to secure employment, making it more likely that they'll send their own children to work someday. Education is a huge priority for the Fijian government. We've always tried to support the institution of family in the Fijian society to nurture the next generation of Fijians. The Fijian government's political will is designed to set up our young people and young families for greater prosperity in a growing economy, with free education, free textbooks, subsidized transportation to schools, specific social assistance programs to ensure primary and high school education of Fijian children at the least. Education indeed is an important driver out of poverty, and every Fijian child must be given this basic right to enjoy it to the fullest. Thus, the cycle of child labor must end, with emphasis shifted to educating a child. Stopping child labor creates a better world for children and adults, and for a country like Fiji, particularly in light of recent statistics released by the Bureau of Stats on child poverty, it becomes a really critical issue for us as a nation to address. Target 8.7 asks member states to take immediate and effective measures to eradicate forced labor, end modern slavery and human trafficking, and secure the prohibition and elimination of the worst forms of child labor, including the recruitment and use of child soldiers, and by 2025, to end child labor in all its forms. In 2018, Fiji signed up to the Global Alliance 8.7 as a pathfinder country, committing to accelerating efforts to achieve the SDG target and sharing the lessons and knowledge generated. We are convinced that Fiji's strong legislative and institutional enabling environment will assist Fiji's efforts as a pathfinder country to achieve the SDG target. I'm happy to share that the Ministry of Women, Children and Poverty Alleviation has had the pleasure to be part of such collaborative efforts. The Ministry was an active member of the Tackle Project Advisory Committee since 2018 and part of the group of stakeholders supporting pioneering child labor actions in Fiji, including the child labor research studies, legislative reviews, child labor monitoring systems, linking child labor stakeholders to the district interagency committees for child protection, and training these actors on interagency guidelines, supporting child protection training in schools, establishing the commercial sexual exploitation of children, CSEC, and child labor subcommittees or working groups under the National Coordinating Committee on Children. We also provide support to the Pathfinder Alliance 8.7 in terms of technical advice, administrative support in arranging workshops, and we also submitted recommendations to reform laws such as the Juvenile Act. The main tangible outcomes of this collaboration were the interagency committees at district levels that integrated child labor monitoring into its mandate, and the child labor and CSEC working groups that linked child labor efforts to national child protection efforts, so that we were no longer operating in silos and our work was complementary or synergized with other stakeholders. While partnerships and pledges have been established, the challenges to addressing the issue of child labor takes new turns. For example, the COVID-19 crisis has brought additional poverty to these already vulnerable populations and may reverse years of progress in the fight against child labor. School closures have aggravated the situation, and many children are laboring to contribute to the family income. Millions more children risk being pushed into child labor as a result of the COVID-19 crisis, which could lead to the first rise in child labor after 20 years of progress, according to ILO and UNICEF. Children already in child labor may be working longer hours or under worsening conditions, the report says. More of them may be forced into the worst forms of labor, which causes significant harm to their health and safety. Gender inequalities may also grow more acute, with girls particularly vulnerable to exploitation in agriculture and domestic work. Some studies show that a 1% point rise in poverty leads to at least 0.7% increase in child labor in certain countries, as in times of crisis. Child labor becomes a coping mechanism for many families. Because the pandemic has considerably worsened the situation, our joint and decisive action is absolutely crucial at this time in order to reverse the growing child labor participation. Ladies and gentlemen, in the last 20 years, almost 100 million children have been removed from child labor, bringing numbers down from 246 million in 2000 to 152 million in 2016. What this assures us is that eliminating child labor is possible, and our collaborative efforts are sure to work. I'm pleased to announce that the Fijian government is pledging the following agendas in relation to the elimination of child labor in Fiji. Formulation of a national child labor policy. 2, the review of the current national employment policy. 3, finalization of the National Occupational Health Services Strategic Plan. And 4, formulation of paperless labor inspection program. The International Year will prepare the ground for the V Global Conference on Child Labor that will take place in South Africa in 2022, where stakeholders will share experiences and make additional commitments towards ending child labor in all its forms by 2025, and forced labor, human trafficking, and modern slavery by 2030. It is my hope that we will have a story of success to share at this forum with our combined efforts. I hope we will be able to not only reverse the implications of COVID-19 on child labor, but also continue the decreasing trend that has been achieved over the past 20 years. To conclude, I must remind us that as a developing economy, the socio-economic loss associated with child labor should concern us. Every year, an estimated $176 billion is lost in potential future wages when children engage in hazardous labor instead of completing their education. Without a basic education, a child will have a higher risk of becoming unemployed, earning low wages, and engaging in hazardous work as an adult. Again, this increases the likelihood that they will put their own children to work, continuing the cycle of child labor and poverty. We all have to make it our business to ensure children are in schools and not engaging in labor. Providing for the family is the responsibility of adults, of parents, of guardians, of caregivers, not children. If we stay true to our pledge as a nation and strengthen our strategies for implementing programs, policies, and laws around child labor better, we will not only improve the lives of our children today, but also secure the lives of future generations. I look around the room, I see the participants, I know the organizations that you represent, and I'm sure that with such a collaborative effort that is consistent, that is effective, that is true, we can achieve the aims that we're targeting for. Thank you very much.
It's an honor to be here to participate in this meeting on taking the next steps to eliminate child labor in Fiji. Thank you for inviting me to participate. The issue of child labor is important everywhere in the world. Too often, children are taken advantage of and forced to perform dangerous or exhausting work, especially in the informal economy. While great progress has been made toward eliminating child labor globally, the ILO has said that for the first time in 20 years, the number of children involved in exploitative labor